Hello. I thought I would surprise everyone with a live chat and a follow up to the last video I had posted on starting a relationship with Divinity. I'm going to give a couple of seconds, I know, for folks to sort of realize what I've done, because I got some really good comments on this. And let me open up my chat thing. All right. So that way I can see about it. But I posted up a video on, beginning a relationship with Divinity. And I got some really good comments that actually got me thinking as well. Made me feel just a little old school, to be honest with y'all, where I was really thinking, wow, they brought out some good points, and I wanted to discuss it just a little bit more. I'm sitting here, give me 1 second, because I'm pulling up this video so that I can actually read the comments, all right? Because y'all left some just really good comments that I think we need to talk about, especially when I recommended when you start a relationship with Divinity, all right, that you should be setting up a masculine and a feminine just to Divinity. And several folks left comments of why masculine and feminine, why not non-binary? And that really, really got me thinking, why not? Why not? Why is it binary? What do we do? And so the first comment that I want to bring up that was Lisa Phelps left a comment that for her, Hecate is both masculine and feminine. All right. Strong enough to fight with the Titans and caring enough to help Persephone. Is that just not beautiful? In which she looks to her torches as representing the male and the female, masculine and feminine. For her, Persephone, or for her, Hecate is non-binary. And I thought that was amazing. All right. With it. And then I just shout out to Lisa. You really got me thinking on that, Miss Lisa. All right. I loved that. And there was, like I said, I'm sitting here scrolling down because we had some great comments in which I was just like, wow, what if? I think I was old school. And so I think when I was, first being taught about Divinity as both masculine and feminine, that was the words that we had, y'all. We didn't know any better, all right? I would like to, now I know better, so I'm doing better. Now it's, I'm learning that we have these non-binary energies, whereas for us, we just didn't have those words 20, 30, 40 years ago. All right. And then why do we put masculine and feminine qualities on Divinity if it has no gender? And one of the great comments was talking about that maybe for us as human beings, that is the way for us to be able to relate. And then again, like I was saying, I started thinking about it and realized not only that, but it was sort of the way I was taught. And that now that we know better, we can teach better. Y'all understand what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to do this follow-up, because I do want y'all to think about Divinity as non-binary, and how important that is. So I said, let me stop for a half a second, because I have to stop and look over at the comment things and say hello to y'all. Oh, Miss Betty White, Tony Prutzel, hello. Oh, you like it? Yeah, this is my new, it's actually sort of a deep purple lipstick. I'm just getting on it, and I'm really loving that thing. All right, but let me get back. Now I lost my train of thought on that. Where, and one of the things, Serenos, another comment, gold star to you, Serenos. Very good job. Was building a relationship takes time. And it made me think about the fact that, y'all, temples are built on hills. Have y'all ever thought about that? What that signifies? The journey of going up the hill, the difficulty of getting to the top, that, divinity you have to work for. It's not just given to you. Okay. Was another comment that I thought was really, really good, on that. And that's where I'm trying to find this wonderful, like I said, so many folks left some really good video comments on discussing that divinity, we often say, is neither nor. It's non-binary. It's not sexual. All right, it's both masculine and feminine and all that. But then when we set up our altars, we go, okay, put a masculine on this side and a feminine on this side. And we're doing what society has taught us. All right. And we are now in the process of learning better. All right. And learning to understand that gender and sexuality, representations, and all that. All right. It's simple and it's complex. And it's about you finding the way that you relate to divinity. All right. Okay. Like I said, I'm trying to find we had some really good comments, and I would really encourage all of y'all, go back down in the comments, and please read them. Okay, let me stop and see if this is, okay, she's asking me another question. Read the comments. We have some smart witches in which are leaving very good information. I know I sit and go through and read them with, like I was saying, just that whole, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. I learned so much from you witches out there. And let me stop and look at the comments real quick. Hello. Scorpio. What you think? Did I do my makeup good tonight? I know she's looking, my witchy drag queen, and everybody. New Moon 81. Hello, sweet witch. Welcome home. Nice to see you here. You can watch me fumble through as I'm trying to find the comments that I thought were so thought-provoking when we discuss how we relate to divinity, and that it isn't necessarily within masculine, feminine energies. All right. And that even I, an old school witch, am repeating what I've been told. And that's one of those, when you learn better, when you know better, then you can do better. And I felt like I had that moment going through these comments where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true. We need to really start talking about divinity within non-binary terms, because it isn't all that. But for us to relate to it, we do need those terms, and we do need these different representations. And y'all know that right now, I'm trying to find the comment. And of course, I'm like, can't get my hands right on the comment that I first read that made me just like totally step back and be like, that is just the smartest thing. We're talking about sexuality and sensuality. All right. And when we look at these representations, that a lot of times it isn't a sexual representation. And then how do I know it's a masculine energy versus how do I know it's a feminine energy? Where for me personally, how I tune into those, to me, it's a softer energy. That's how I define the feminine energy. Masculine energy to me has a little more of an edge on it. Why do I call, Aunt Martha? Because she feels like a girl to me. And for us tuning into our own, how these people feel. Old school here too. Oh, yes, that's what we're talking about. We're learning. I'm learning. And when I know better, I can do better. All right. I was part of the old school of girls, boys. There was nothing in between. Nobody taught us any different. And, I have always been involved and supportive of the rainbow community since the 80s. And there I've learned through firsthand experiences. And now again, through all you witches who are kind enough to leave these comments on this video, y'all done taught me again. And how grateful I am with some of it, and how people are relating to divinity, and another thing that, witching Aries. This was one of the best ones, was spirit forms are completely non-gendered, and especially with angelic forces is what she's saying. But when she's talking about, we have to be careful when we say gender, that we're not she's not referring to modern Western sex stereotypes such as sweet nurturing, likes wearing long pink dresses equals feminine, assertive aggressive masculine, likes playing sports, that we put these on top of these things. But instead this was talking about looking into the gnosis, all right, the energetic energy, the gnosis of their sexually energetic polarity. All right. I mean, when I read it, I had to go back and read it again because I was like, oh my gosh, saying some beautiful words here about, really tuning into what this energy is for you, how you're relating to it, and understanding some of these energies that we're still learning to relate to. And if you all have any comments or questions, put them in that box there below. Okay. Going with a direct gut feel is what she says, and also understanding that I think a lot of these energies, this is how they've been fed, this is how they've been represented. And so this is sort of what they expect. And so you tune into the energies that have been fed to them, if that makes sense. All right. And I'm going to stop for just a second and read some of these comments here. I view things, okay, Miss Betty, I view things as polarity, plug and socket. You can't have light without either of those. It doesn't matter what form they take. Those are two primal energies. I get what you're saying. I like that idea. It does take these two sides to create all of this on some level, but on another level, there isn't two sides. It's just all mushed together. And from that, these two sides evolve. and taking that thinking when we're dealing with divinity in our relationship and even ourselves, where, the stereotypical, y'all gotta stop, I have a hair right here on the edge of there. The girls wear pink, boys wear blue. We're just conditioned that in society. There ain't no rules to that. That's complete BS. And being aware of what is BS and versus what the energy is telling you, what the energy is giving to you, dictating to you. All right. And unfortunately, many of us, including myself, are a victim of a very, very bad Eurocentric American education system. All right. I say nothing else about that because y'all put me on a rant, is what I'm saying. All right. And, yes, Betwixt and Between brought up a very, very good point. In nature, there are species that can create without the male-female dynamic. That's what I was talking about, that it is from that the boy-girls get created. We have to remember it's not from boy-girl that this gets created. It's the other way. And that nature shows us this. We have species that can change their sexual organs according to the need. If you ain't got enough girls in the pool, not a problem. We can create some so that we can have some eggs, and let me stop again, because I gotta stop and read. And Scorpia, connection to divinity and what mirrors back to us as we grow and evolve. Oh, I love that. It does, because I know my relationship with divinity in my 20s is much different than it is now in my 50s. I mean, I'm 57, so I have, I guess, different expectations at this point, and we do evolve and change. And like I was saying, me doing this video became very much a learning moment for me personally, where I went and stood at my altar and stood there sort of rethinking and thinking about that whole, where does the masculine, feminine energies come from? All right. And that it first starts with that, primal pool of divinity that's neither or, and then it comes. And if that's true, then of course other expressions of this energy, masculine, divine, feminine, are going to come out as well. And that in the end, all expressions are valid, was where my brain went. Just so y'all know, I circled around to the yes, that it's about us as individuals embracing where we are, And so let me stop and read. Let's see, Betty, the God energy. I know for some folks, especially coming out of Abrahamic faiths, you feel a little like turned off by masculinity. But I would very much say, please learn about the Horned One, learn about the God of nature, learn about Pan. We have so many other wonderful masculine energies that you can definitely lean into, and that is so important with blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Thinking, it's about your personal relationship, all right? And when you're starting out, doing things that make sense to you, doing things that feel right to you, you are an expression of divinity. Just like I was saying earlier, the primal pool, and out pops the masculine, feminine, and different levels, and different each of us, and we all get our own unique blend to it. So being you is celebrating divinity, however you want to do it. And when you start out, and I know in the community, especially in the pagan community, they always have this pick a god, pick a goddess mentality. And my original video is just wanting to encourage people to pick divinity first, pick whatever form. And I thought, like I said, as I was taught 30, 40 years ago, with the idea that that the divine is both masculine and feminine, we thought we were cutting edge. Y'all know that, right? We thought we were the progressives in the room, just so in case you wanted to, it was put down our throat that deity is male, and so this whole time period, we're still in that the Abrahamic traditions really trying to rewrite our history. I don't want to bash Christianity because there's a lot of good in there. It just got twisted up with some bad. Y'all excuse me. I am sipping on a Paloma, which means it's tequila and squirt. So, and it's very good. All right, now let me look up here. Like the yin yang, light and the dark. Ooh, I like that very much so. There's always, yes, there's balance in everything. Nature shows us there's day, night, morning, evening, new moon, atheist. That's fine. All right. That just means you have, there's no, you have to have a god and goddess type thing in order to be a witch. We do talk about it. We also talk about those spiritual connections, which you brought up, ancestral work and how important it is. Those spirit guides, having connection both with our ancestors within bloodlines, and also understand that you have regional ancestors, you have cultural ancestors as well. All right. And you have spirit folk, in which are leaning in just because they like you. So you can have a busy altar not even worrying about divinity. All right. Let me read. I love that. Thank you. Big Bad Creations just summed up the entire video, and I can go home now. I would like you to know I'm done for the day. Big Bad Creations says, I think the issue is often that we look at the divine under human lens. The divine does not work under human social rules. They are energies far older, parentheses wiser, and more fluid than that. Yes, that's exactly what I've been fluid. It is, because there is that flow, and it can change, and it shifts, and it's moving, it's evolving. I love that. I was like, okay, I'm like, I had this big woo moment with doing the video and me having a little more depth of divinity through all of y'all witches out there in the comments. Like I said, I'm standing at my altar reading these comments with, wow, divinity's so cool. It's still revealing itself to me. After, 40 years of standing in sacred spaces, I'm still learning, and lucky me. We're not we learn enough and then that's it. You're the witch. You don't have to do anything. We're always on a journey, and we're always having things revealed. And for me as an old witch, I wanted to share a reveal moment so y'all can understand that as you continue on your own personal journeys, how you feel now will change in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. All right. And then you're getting even more depth, even more of that. Just it just made me feel good. I just felt like I got a hug from Divinity. I felt like the goddess's arms just came and hugged me as I was having this whole revelation moment in my brain, in my spirit. And I'm really thinking about that. And that, I think I want to do more research on other things. It just opened up a path to me. All right. And that's what witchcraft, that's what magic is about, is this amazing journey that you get to go on. And if you're lucky enough, for a very long time, for the rest of your life. All right. You never learn enough. You never stop learning. It never becomes boring. All right. It's always different. And I hope that you guys have these same experiences as well. And let me get my glasses on because I see comments and I have to have readers. Y'all know I'm an old lady and I need readers and everything. Oh, hello, hello. So nice to see all of you here this evening. Thank you all for leaning in and everything. And I do want to real quick give some, like I said, I was reading Lisa Phelps, Gold Star Witch right there. She's the one that left one of the good comments. Sarah knows, another Gold Star Witch. He was left good comment on that. All right. Gemini Grey Wolf, thank you so much. Okay. And Gypsy Snicker Doolittle, thank you for your comments. All of you witches, please take the time to go and read the comments on a lot of these different videos that I post, because there is some good stuff in there, is what I'm saying, witches. All right. I just like can't even, I'm like, y'all tell me some good stuff. I like get my book out and I'm writing it down because I'm like, this is so good. And leaving comments, watching till the end of the video, I'm like, yep, gold stars as far as I'm concerned. And, of course, a shout out to the YouTube members. We have a section for you where you get exclusive videos and things. Zaffron Moon, Clara, Lana Turner, you are some of our supporters. Thank you all. And I want to say thank you to all of you who are leaving comments right now that I've taken up a couple of minutes y'all's time on that. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to just take it and ask me a question. All right. It doesn't have to be about this topic. It can be about anything. Well, I'm not saying it. Please be polite, but go ahead, lean in, ask me a question. Hopefully I can answer it. And I'm going to stop for just half a second and take another sip of my Paloma tonight. It's a treat. I don't make them that often for myself. All right. I know there's like a time delay for when I actually see comments, and that I have to wait just a half a second on it. Also, are there videos? What videos do y'all want to see me make? What do y'all want to see me talk about? All right. This is where I wish you would talk about that. Tell me right now. All right. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want to know? Chances are I may make a video if I have firsthand experience. This is where folks will send me up asking me, what do I know about the goddess Flora? And I'm thinking, well, I know everything that if I Google it, I can only speak from a Google experience. So I'm not going to make a video about things I have to Google. I try to stay within my firsthand experience, firsthand knowledge, what some other witch done told me, and then I go make a YouTube and make me a video about it. All right, let me get my glasses on. Took a hit off the vape here real quick. Oh, Egyptian fairy tales. It makes sense of the non-binary because I'm considered a masculine energy, but a female. I have 8 masculine energies in my house. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, that flow, and that it can shift and it can change, and how that it is truly non-binary. We as in humans, is a way to relate to it. We put binary labels on it. All right, Miss Betty. Ancestor altars is what actually I will be making some videos up here because we're getting ready to go into the season of the dead. I think a lot of the pagan folk call it the season of the witch. It's not the season of the witch. It's about dead folk. But we typically from October 1st, and depending on your personal tradition, until All Saints Day, November 1st, or November's full moon. So it's a 4 to 6 week time period where we set up ancestral spirit altars and work really hard on honor, reverence, respect, giving thanks, and strengthening our connections during this time. It's not that we don't keep our ancestral altars up the rest of the year, but this is that time period where we bring them out, we celebrate it, and we bring out the season of the dead, and do all of your things up. For us, you'll know when the season of the dead starts because the mirrors will be draped in black. I drape all my mirrors in black during that time out of personal preference. So yes, you will be getting those videos, Betty. All right. The dualistic nature of Scorpia, that's like a whole book. Scorpia, she come up here asking me if I want the dualistic nature of herbs, resins, flowers, trees, both holistically, folklore, and metaphysically. I'm like, that's not a video. All right, that's a book. That may be 3 books right there. I want to read that book. I think you're absolutely right, though, the dualistic nature, especially when where we see a lot of our night bloomers. Their daytime properties are actually very different than their nighttime properties. A lot of times you'll hear about when to harvest a certain plant or flower. If we harvest it early in the morning, it either has a higher toxicity or it has a lower toxicity. That the actual nature of the plant changes during the course of the day, and at times also during the course of the plant's life cycle. Like the young things you use for one thing, the medium, more mature plants for something, and then the old big leaves you use for something else. All right, I'll work on that, Scorpio, because actually I will sit and I think it's fascinating where the actual, like I said, plants are capable of changing their nature, where it's not as poisonous right now as it would be when the flowers are in bloom, All right. Big Bad Creations. To make a video about how to avoid toxic cultural appropriation in witchcraft. Yeah, that is a big step on. We have a lot of that going on for sure. When we talk about how to avoid toxic cultural appropriation in witchcraft, a very easy way to do it is don't buy that mass media stuff. Buy within our community. Get the recipes from folks that are still creating it, versus mass production where it's put in a factory and it's just being put down there. Appropriation versus appreciation. I think that's definitely, I'll make a video and discuss I can only tell you my personal thoughts. As a crossroads witch, I do walk in different worlds and everything where I have learned when I am a respectful observer versus when I'm an active participant, and also when I can take things home. And some things I can share and other things I will not share because it's not appropriate. And those are all really good big topics that I definitely will do some videos on that. Thank you so much. All right. And how to respect other cultures that aren't your own. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a whole channel. You know that, right? That's a whole channel on how to do that and everything. We can't take bits and pieces of someone else's culture without it having context. Okay? If you don't know its origin story, why it was made, who it was made, you haven't been a part of that community, you haven't contributed to that community, then I personally don't think that you have the right to take anything from that community. All right? And again, these are my personals. I am not trying to say we all should believe these things. For me, as a crossroads witch, I walk between the witchcraft world. I walk within hoodoo, which is a blended world on its own, and then I'm a member of a Haitian voodoo house. You don't hear me talk about it because I have been asked not to, nor am I a fair representation of that when we talk about cultural appropriation. I'm not a fair representation because it's easy to take me out of context. All right. And the whole understanding of that. All right. That sometimes it's not about us being on a platform, but it's about making space for others because it is their platform. All right. And those are really big topics. Okay, Carl. Hello, Carl. I know. I haven't seen you in a while. We're going to have to do like a chit chat. You're such a cool guy. Yes, dualistic nature of plants also goes into the idea of gender of plants, where some of our more modern mass media, you ought not read that. Scott Cunningham, Encyclopedia of Herbs, I think is where he decided to really label everything girl boy. Prior to that, we really don't see it. Not that I like Scott, so first of all, but he had the information that was available at the time. He was coming out of a very strong Wiccan, and understand traditional Wicca is very male-female. All right, when they come together, it's male-female, male-female. They're very concerned about that. So he took that and put that concern into nature. And we really don't see the labeling of male, female, because as I was speaking earlier, plants change their nature. All right. The plant in the morning may not be the same plant in the evening. The plant when it's a baby isn't the plant when it's mature. The plant halfway through its cycle, when it's in full bloom, is completely different. I mean, we see this on a molecular, that level where if we look at its toxicity, if we look at the chemicals that it's producing, they are changing. All right. And, thank you, Big Bad Creations. Yes. I was like, you have to be very careful with that topic or you can step in doo-doo, and nobody wants to do that with it. But let's see, let me go through and make sure I got all the comments because, like I said, I just wanted to do a really quick follow-up on, we talk about divinity and we'll say it, and I said it. I was like, oh, divinity is beyond gender. It's neither nor. Okay, now go and take a male and female statue. And then when it was pointed out to me at the moment, I'm like, I've been indoctrinated. It was almost no, it's beyond that. I love the idea, and I know that from going forward, when I am conveying knowledge to folks, I want to talk about non-binary divinity. I want to talk about divinity that's before any and all of that, and that it's fluid. All right. And that us as people have to find a way to relate to that. And for some of us, we can within the male-female aspects. And for other of us, we don't find that type of a relationship. And to let those folks know that that's just as valid, that you're doing it the right way, which, You know, you don't have to buy into this stuff. And us old witches, we're learning, you know. So we're trying, I know I'm personally trying hard to do better. And I want to thank you guys for teaching me something. Okay, so that when I am out talking with other witch folk, other magic folk, inspiring them, y'all gave me better words. All right, you know, and when I'm just like, I've got the best gift out of this YouTube channel where I'm like, it's just amazing where my consciousness, my awareness got shifted a little, you know? And like I said, I felt it when it happened. And I'm like, and that was because of you witches out there leaving comments on the video with, hey, Taren, what do you think about this? You know, and how important it is for us as a community to share with each other. Them books, y'all heard me say it over and over, 20% of our knowledge, if that, all right, makes for some great historical readings. I love a good story on some of those wackadoodle recipes that they have out of the 17th century. And for the record, no, I ain't using none of those ingredients. But that we learn, we experience, through each other. Witchcraft at its finest is an oral tradition. And we can still, even in our 21st century social media, we're all plugged into the matrix world, we can still have an oral tradition. All right, we just did it. We did it in the comments. We did it when I spoke in a video and you all came back and told me what your words were. All right, that is where we've learned the art of magic. That is where we've learned the good stuff. All right. And so I really want, you know, like I said, read them comments. First of all, they're good. And give me 1 sec. Let me look over and read real quick. Y'all get ahead of me. Wait 1 sec. I got to go back up and scroll up. Oh, kitchen witchery videos. Yes, there I did a year and a day of a cocktail for every pot. It was fun. I strongly recommend doing that. Oh, and New Moon 81, but the circle, abundance. Sweetie, I don't really get into other folks' magic. If it feels good to you, then it is good. If it feels bad, then it's probably bad. All right. Don't ask other folks about your magic. Ask yourself. All right. That is one thing that I am a little triggered periodic, because I'm like, sit down and get up in your headspace. You don't know the answer to these questions. All right. Don't be letting other folks in on your business. All right. Oh, question. Nothing is given as a numerical value of 0. It is not then ethereal and gone as soon as we can conceptualize it. How then does divinity create the universe out of nothing? Oh, that's one of them dark mysteries. I don't know. I ain't that smart of a witch, you know? How does divinity create the universe out of nothing? Because somewhere there had to be a spark of something. And whatever that spark of something is part of those great mysteries we talk about. When we talk about the mysteries of the universe, you know, for me, I see this little spark particle of matter that's wrapped in divinity. And in that, as it grows, the universe grows. And as it grows, divinity grows with it. That's my conceptualization. I'm not a theologian, so I don't know. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. A video on bone casting divination. I actually need to see if I can get one of our cottage witches who actually does bone divination. Here, I've been trying, y'all. If y'all just know how hard I've been trying to get her up here to let me do a video when she casts bones and to have her talk about it. But so far I haven't got her, but I'm working on it. I'd like to have somebody she is actually doing it. She's all up in it. It is part of her practice. She's also very private, as most witches are. Typically, most witches are introverts, so trying to get them up on a camera is a little hard. All right. What's the next one? Energy is always there, only transforms, can change shape and form, but it is indefinite, so I see it pretty much as energy took form. Oh, I love that, betwixt and between. I get exactly what you're saying, because we always talk about energy never dissipates. It just changes form. Science, all right? Very simply, you can take, think of water, which can be in liquid form. And then if I freeze it, it becomes an ice cube. And if I heat it up, then it evaporates and becomes steam. But it's still there. It's just changing forms, and then I can take that moisture, air, it rains, put it back in my glass. I got liquid again, and I can freeze it and start the whole cycle over again. All right. When we talk about there's an energetic spark in everything that's living. And the moment that our physical bodies die, that spark's gone. Where'd the spark go? And that's the big question. Where did the spark go? Because we know it goes somewhere. Energy never dissipates. It just changes forms. Oh, let me stop and read real quick. Between and betwixt, you're too shy about going on camera. I know. I so respect all you witches and which really don't want to put yourself out in the public. As a witch who is in the public, I will always counsel folks, you can never go back in. Once you've come out, you're out. You can't undo it. And that your life is going to be changed if you choose. And that's something I probably need to make a video on, is talking about, is it really worth it to come out of the closet? Why are you doing it? And understanding the long-term ramifications, especially depending on where you live. I was in South Carolina, which was not a good place, but at the same time, I was still public. I'm now in California, where you can just walk around dressed up like a witch and nobody pays any attention to you. And I've already dealt years and years ago with the ramifications and the fallout of my family, and yes, there's ramifications and fallout and everything. That's just the reality. Yes, it's one thing to tell the neighbors. It's another thing, though, to go on YouTube betwixt and between and let everybody see your face. All of a sudden, thousands of folks, and you're like, wait a sec. And I know the first time I turned on the camera and looked there, and I was just like, what am I supposed to say? I mean, it took me a while to get there. All right, let me read these comments and then, yes, you can never undo it, Carl. That's for sure. I can never go back in the closet. You're just shy to talk on camera. Yes, that's what I went off on another thing betwixt and between. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put all that on you. My head was not, I wasn't doing that. I was talking about different witches, different situations. I understand, like with you, the idea of just getting on camera itself is pretty damn scary. And I agree with you. It is scary. Okay, Daniel Pandora. have I ever been to Salem, Massachusetts? No, I have not been to that tourist place yet. Other than a tourist zone or historical context of some innocent people having terrible things happen to them, I don't have a reason to visit. If you want to go to the magic of America, I would strongly encourage you to go to New Orleans. All right, that is where you see the beginning of the gumbo. That's the heart of conjure. And that's the history of America and understanding how all of these different flavors came together. All right, in New Orleans, we do have New Orleans voodoo, which is separate off of our Haitian voodoo and also off of our other African Caribbean voodoo traditions. And we also have hoodoo, that is New Orleans Pacific. Hoodoo, New Orleans conjuring is like different than what I was brought up, which is Low Country conjuring. So if you want to go get your witch on, go to the Magic of America. Please go to Congo Square, where Marie Laveau brought together folks that were Black, white, enslaved, free, rich, poor, all brought them to Congo Square, and they danced together. All right. That is America's story. Okay. I think Salem, Massachusetts is a wonderful tourist trap that I probably one day will go just cause, But as far as do I want to go and celebrate anything there, super cool. No, nothing happened there that relate to my folk. All right, nothing happened there magically that relate to my folk. What happened was an injustice on some very innocent people. All right. Thank you for saying that about Salem. You are welcome. It's become let's all go see Samantha from Bewitched, because that's where the witches are in Salem. And I'm like, what are y'all people talking about? Oh, Miss Autumn. Now there's Miss Autumn right there. Okay. The nice shop owners. Okay, I could see it's a fun place to go shopping and shop owners. You're absolutely right. Okay, let's see. Wait, give me 1 second. Big Bad Creations to read through. Salem is more important in modern witchcraft history, more so than the actual historical practice. No, I disagree with you. Within modern witchcraft history, the only line of, well, I'm not going to say that. It had nothing to do with witchcraft history. It had everything to do with Puritans calling innocent people witches, but there was no historic reference to witchery going on at that point, other than, Tibia, the Black enslaved girl that we do believe probably had some sort of an African diaspora conjuring knowledge that may have inspired the young white girls. But at that point, you're in a Puritan colony. There is no folkloric witchcraft actually happening up there. What they may have been doing is putting up things to keep witches away, more so than anything else, because for the Puritans, witchcraft was very much tied to Satanism. That was in the devil's corner. So we don't have any history of folk witchcraft in that area going on. I would tell you that I would go to Pennsylvania Dutch country, where the German folk and the use of hexes, their hexes being blessings, their sigils, you're going to probably find more folkloric witchcraft in that area than you'll ever find up in Salem. All right? Because the Salem colony itself, when it was first formed, there was the Puritans, and then there was sort of like a couple of liberal hip people. They kicked all the liberal hip people out. And so it was a very different flavor of pure Puritan going up on there, with what they had going. And as far as in modern witchcraft history, I would say that Laurie Cabot, who is the founder of the Cabot tradition, who is in Salem, has a beautiful organization up there. And so, yes, her group is operating up there, and they're amazing people. You will also find that off of Lori Cabot's line is where Christopher Pinzak comes, and he now has the Temple of Witchcraft. These are both, hers is, well, his is like Wiccan shamanistic blend. They're an amazing groups, but they are not anything to do with the formation of the modern witchcraft movement. If you're talking within the pagan structure of that, because there's two different, there's folkloric, and then there's the pagan, neo-pagan group, because the Wiccans started yelling loud in the 1980s, 1990s, and everybody's like, oh, it's only Wiccans. Understand there was others of us, but we just weren't the loud one in the room. All right, there's different lines going on here, because you have folkloric lines, and then you have your modern Wiccan into neo-pagan lines, and as they've evolved now. All right, let me stop and read. Oh, and actually, those would all be really great videos, guys. I'm going to keep these comments. I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep talking about it, because I can talk about familiars. And I will definitely make a video about that where I have the time to get up in the headspace and everything. And so I want to go back to the original topic. I got so far off topic, and which is just fine, y'all. But I'm going to give a last audit. Well, that's really nice. But I'm going to stop for a second and give a 5-minute last call and say, if you would like to ask me a question, please do so. Real quick here. I've been talking for an hour and the back of my throat can feel it. And I am fine that there's not that many people on the live, to be honest with you. Thank you, Lily. But I just popped the button and didn't even tell folks that I was going live, so I was not anticipating very many people. Can I do more videos on Hector? Do you mean Hecate? Because I don't know who Hector is. And thank you, Jonathan, because I'm like, Hector, I don't know him, but I do know Hecate. And sure, I can most definitely talk about Hecate a little bit more and my personal experiences. Like I was saying, I try to do my content based on what I personally know, what I have firsthand knowledge of. I not Google stuff and then sit there and repeat what I just read on Google, you know? Thank you, Brandy. Very kind words. Thank you so much. And everything. Yes, there's just a couple of us. That's why I'm like, here's the opportunity if you'd like to ask me any questions. Y'all are on your last call. All right? And everything. And I just want y'all to know how truly grateful I am and everything. Like I was saying, I had a big moment, and it all evolved. The folks that had reached into this channel that left comments that inspired me to look at divinity differently. I had my universe shifted a little bit over. And it felt good, you know, and just embracing that new idea. And I love that. That part of witchcraft is about letting go of our old preconceived ideas and embracing new ones. Or at least for me it is. All right, let me get my glasses, you know. If they ever come up with them I'm so sorry, Miss Melody. I am getting ready to give a last call out. Um, you know, out. I have been talking for an hour, and I actually thought I was going to do a 20-minute video. That's the funny part of this story. And so I'm just as pleased as punch that I had a couple of y'all leaning in. All right. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye to all y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for supporting me and this channel, and how grateful I am, and for everything that I have given to y'all. Y'all have given back to me. All right. And everything. And, that if you're new, go press the buttons, and of course go to houseofwitchcraft.com. And with that said, I'm going to say, I hope y'all have as bright of a blessed day as I'm having. And as always, amen, blessed be, ashe, and a bobo.